My name is Sonal Dave, and I'm an award-winning Celebrant, Toastmaster, and public speaking expert. And I'm really, really pleased to say that you can see them in the background over there, the journals that I've recently launched. In fact, I say recently, it was only yesterday. And these journals have been put together by me working with a focus group of individuals who either themselves are adults with neurodiverse conditions or adults who look after children or care for adults with neurodiverse conditions. So they are specifically for them to help them to be able to communicate, whether that be written, drawing, doodling, or even vocalizing what it is that they want to say about what happened in a day. That might be the good things, but it might also be the not so good things. And it's so important that all of us, both neurotypical, neurodiverse, have the ability and the safe space to say what has happened during a day. It really does help us both in terms of leading a, a good life that is not so stressful and challenging, but importantly, it's also really good for our mental health. So, talking about my guest today, I'm really excited because we met a while back and we had a little bit of a conversation. But with the pandemic and everything else that has happened, we've never really been able to talk about what she does and who she is. So, without further ado, I invite you to clap a little bit of a drum roll for the wonderful Parita Patel. Hey,
That's
Parita,
Sonal.
thank you so much for being here today.
Not at all. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you are so welcome. And I've got to start with the first question that I ask everyone. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm a mum of two, and by profession, I'm a teacher of 15 years, but also a tutor. And I have my own organisation called Leap Educate with
So,
a team
what
of tutors.
oh, it's a team of tutors and what kind of age group do you teach? But also why Leap Educate?
Good question. Yeah, we support students from age 5 to 18 in their with their academics, but just so much more than that. So Leap Educate actually stands for Learn, Embed, Apply, Progress. And so what we want our students to be able to do is obviously learn, not just progress, but it's a learning process. So the way in which they learn is so important. And it's learner focused, child focused learning. So we get them to embed concepts, we get them to then apply concepts, which obviously then inevitably helps them to progress through their academics.
And why did you go from being like a full-on teacher to Leap Educate? What was this journey? What made it happen?
So actually, I've just come out of teaching full time. I came out of teaching full time a while ago, and then I was part time teaching. So for the last 15 years, I have been teaching alongside tutoring. But the need has now become so much to support students in a different way. I think it was time to come and do that full time now and really focus on our students who we have at Leap. And that's
And
just that.
yeah, and where do your students come from? Like how is it word of mouth? Is it via do schools direct them to you? How do these students get to you?
Actually a combination. It's a predominantly word of mouth. They find us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Yep, we've had school referrals as well. But predominantly, and this is the one that's I think closest to my heart, is word of mouth from parents. Yeah,
Absolutely, because I
because
think
they
you
already
can't.
know how we work and they know how we could support other students.
Actually, word of mouth, and when somebody's already worked with you already or seen, you work with their child, that's the best referral ever, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because it isn't, and you'll know this with what you do as well. It's not about just, honestly, our sessions aren't just about tutoring. That's just one element of it. But it's about, as I said, it's child-centered. So we really tap in to the mindset of that student that we're working with and students that we are working with to then help them maximize their potential in the best possible way.
Yeah, no, and I think it's brilliant what you're doing, because there is this whole pressure, I think, that comes from society about,
Mm,
grades and qualifications, when actually what will help a child to be successful are life skills. And those life skills, if they could be taught alongside getting good grades and, brilliant qualifications, are just going to help the child to be even better. But where the difficulty is, I know definitely from the work that I do, is that when the parents don't have that knowledge themselves,
mm,
how can they help their child? So they've got
exactly.
to find a place where they can get the benefits of both. So the grades, the qualifications, and life skills. Whereas I've found a lot of tutoring sessions and companies, organizations are very grade focused. And I think it needs to be a bit more aligned with real life, as I call it.
Absolutely. I do think, though, employers nowadays don't look for just what's on paper. I'll be quite honest with you. I think they do look for students who are all rounders and possess those life skills, those really important life skills. And it's called employability. So being that employability that we talked about comes in various different forms. It's not linear, it's not grades only. And I
Agree.
think that's something that I would say we're pretty good on. We really look at the child as a whole and we'll say, look, let's draw on these strengths to help
Yeah.
you become a confident learner. It's not just about these 8s and 9s at GCSEs or the A stars and A's at A levels. That's brilliant. And that's what we're going to strive for. But there is so much more than just the grades.
No, absolutely. And I think I've been really lucky with the individuals like yourself that I've come across in the tutoring world who get that it's a combination of both, and it's not just grade and qualification focused. So society is difficult. There are so many challenges that we all have to face. Can you name at least two, if not three, challenges that you've seen that are happening in society currently that could be handled in a much better way?
Yeah, I will say the first thing that we always look at is the mindset, not just of a student, but about, their learning environment as well. Not necessarily at home, whatever that environment might be. And the two need to be their learning environment and their um, natural ability need to go hand in hand for us to maximize that potential. And often I do find that the harmony just isn't there, which means when you're striving just for these academic grades, and of course we should, that's default, we should be. But when we're doing it without the other link, which is the person as a learner and the way that they learn in their learning style, if that's not there, um, we're not going to build this drive and this motivation, this confidence in this child to want to do their best. And it's very likely that they won't do their best if we can't harmonize this. And often that comes from this underlying pressure just to achieve at all costs.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's
What does Leap do, for example? You and Leap and your other tutors, you have a student who is not academic. How do you tell a parent, look, it doesn't matter how much money you spend and how much time you give us, your son, daughter is not going to be a doctor, a scientist, an astronaut. They have a passion for, I don't know, art, let's just say, and they're creative. How do you say that to a parent who is so focused on, the A stars and the top universities and their wishes as opposed to the child's wishes?
Yeah, so look, it's about building that relationship with that parent and really building the trust and getting to know them and they get to know us. And as soon as they understand what it is that we do and that we will maximize potential, but not to all costs, it's at that point that the realization comes. It's what you've just said. If you want to be an artist, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing wrong with being an astronaut. There's nothing wrong with being an artist. There's nothing wrong with any of it. But what we will do is give that child the confidence to own what they want to be, who they want to be. And I don't think we can put a price on that.
Mm. I think it's really, that's so important what you just said. You can't put a price on what a child or even an adult genuinely heartfelt wants to do and has the passion and drive to do. You can't put a price on that. What you can do is give them the nurturing, the environment, and the space to follow their dreams and passions. And I think that's
Absolutely.
so important.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
I think it's yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the biggest gift a parent can give their child is to support them, because research does suggest that if you are not motivated to learn, if you're not enjoying what you're learning, you're probably not going to achieve your potential.
Mm,
And as a result, it's not, you're just going to be doing something you just don't want to do. And is
no.
that how we really want to spend the rest of our life?
Agree. And
And
and I think what we've all learned is that life's not as long as we think it is. And actually, in that short life that we have, let's make
mm,
the most of it and let's do
absolutely.
what we enjoy and have a passion for. And
Yeah.
let's stop wasting time doing what everyone else is expecting us to do and
Mm,
actually do what we enjoy. I probably say that as a bit in a bit of a flippant manner, but I genuinely believe in it. You know, as somebody who, I think once upon a time, my family and extended family thought I was going to be the doctor in the family, and I actually was an English and drama student. So, doctor, who doctor? Not me. So yeah, so having been through that journey and living through, I know I want to be able to sing, I want to be able to act, I want to be able to dance, and do the things that I enjoyed. I don't want to, I don't know, cut open animals in the lab and
yeah, I mean, but this is it. It comes back to that will come through in an interview.
yeah,
When a child sits in front of, has their university interview, or has the graduate interview, whatever interview that they have, that will come through. The passion, the desire will all come through in that interview if it's what they really want to do.
no,
Whereas if we're striving for something that isn't really us, again, that's going to show through, and yeah, you're just forcing something that isn't there, and I don't think that's particularly healthy for anybody's mindset.
no, not at all. I'm going to move on a bit here. So one of the so not one, the focus of the journals that I launched yesterday was very much around the neurodivergent mind, the various neurodiverse conditions that exist. And first of all, I'd just like to hear your thoughts on neurodiversity and the Asian community, but also then your own experience as well. I
Yeah.
think it would be great for those who are watching now, as well as those who will be watching later, just to get an understanding of your view and also your own experience.
That's a big one, Sonal. It really is. So I I'm a mum of a child who is mildly neurodivergent. He's my son's got auditory processing disorder. To be honest, you never really know he had it, but he has it. But there's a barrier there, a slight barrier to it's APD is it's something it's a challenge where you can't process sound very easily. So in a school environment or in a social environment, it's really tricky because you can't process sound as quickly as other people, and therefore it's often like you're not listening or you're daydreaming, and that's just not true at all. It's just that you're not able to process it as quickly as others. Again, it doesn't affect your potential. It doesn't affect who you are as a person or what you're capable of achieving. Now, as a teacher as well, in my latter years, I've worked with neurodivergent students, older students. And again, the one thing I will say, my takeaway is it doesn't stop you from being successful. So it's about owning who you are, what you have, and carrying on anyway.
Mm.
And really, for me, it's about owning it, and that's the one of the things that I like to speak to our parents about and students alike, and my own son. It doesn't matter. You're not. Yes, you might be different, but aren't we all? We're all different. What's normal? What is normal? I don't
what
even know
is
what that
normal?
means.
Isn't that that question that you want to throw out into space, and hopefully, in a couple of days it's going to, bounce back and it'll have an answer to us all, because there isn't a definition of normal,
There
is there?
isn't. No,
No.
not at all. So I think that's kind of slightly where Leap's been born from as well, because it's looking at the child and saying, you know what, look at all of these strengths that you have. These are amazing strengths. Let's use that and channel that into your learning. And I think that's what's really different about us, because it shouldn't stop you. In fact, we're going to use that. Whatever that challenge is, we're going to use it and we're going to turn it into a strength. And I
No.
think this is kind of what I want parents to understand. It's not something that we should be afraid of. It's something, first of all, let's own it and let's figure it out. You know, that there is help out there. Whatever it is, there is help. So seek that help and then work together with whichever organization, whichever support structure that you have, and really use it to the benefit of your experience, your situation, your child. If it's you, an adult might be neurodivergent, right? It doesn't matter. It applies to us all. Um, but
We were speaking to Zoe yesterday. I did an interview with Zoe Bryn, lovely lady. If you were to just be chatting with her, you wouldn't even know that she has a neurodivergent
exactly,
condition.
exactly,
Yet she runs a successful business. She takes part in amateur dramatics. Um, she dyscalculia, so
yes,
maths, and
yes,
but she's a data queen and processing data queen, and the things that she does, well, I wouldn't even dream to look at, let alone attempt to try. And that's now become her strength, and in what she does in her business. And
mm,
so you're so right that sometimes what might be seen as a challenge, actually, if it is managed, supported, guided
yeah.
in the right way, it can actually become an individual strength.
I would say it's about giving the person, doesn't matter who it is, it's about giving the person the freedom to explore that. And I don't know if it is a challenge, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but it's about, yeah, giving them the freedom to explore what it is and what it looks like for them and how they operate in society.
Absolutely, and Depan Patel, and his organization,
Yeah,
and him and his daughter Sanjana, and see how successful he is. And Shailin,
absolutely.
Shailin yesterday, Happy Life and Happiness Coach. How successful he is, and
Yeah.
with the work he does. So it just, I so agree with you that we kind of almost need to stop putting these, you know barriers up to
Mm.
stopping people. But why do you think people see this as a, oh no, oh, don't talk about it, don't let the extended family know, what are they going to think, what will they say, and what will the school say? Because I definitely know parents who've tried to hide it from school, hide it from family, extended family, and I'm like, why? If you don't tell people, you won't get the support.
Um, I think there's a lot to be said about processing it yourself first as well, because often there's no kind of straightforward strategy or solution to neurodivergent circumstances. Everyone's so different, and you do need to be able to figure this out yourself. So it's taken us as a family a very, very long time. I've known since my son was about 5 that something's not quite right, and we only had him diagnosed officially, I think, when he was 10 going on 11. So it's a long time of not knowing. And
Mm,
often I'm having conversations with parents where they're like, we just don't know. And I think those frustrations are really tough to deal with. And don't forget, you're still dealing with the day to day
mm,
yourself, those challenges. Every single person will come with their own challenges. And so you're trying to tackle that. So having to comprehend, telling everybody, I don't think it's about the judgment, it's about having to comprehend different opinions, different thought processes, and all the other things that go with telling people. It's it's more to deal with, and actually that's not quite easy.
mm,
That shouldn't stop people. I would suggest have a close-knit group of friends and family who you know
Yeah.
can be there for you and support you with what you need, and definitely open up about it. And the second that I was able to explain what my son has, it made life so much easier because other people were able to then adapt.
Yeah.
And we still don't openly talk about it, but we've not needed to, because I think we've learned to strategize ourselves. The most important thing is to give the particular person who is living with those challenges strategies.
Yeah.
Once they've got these strategies that they can own, we can then share those strategies.
Yeah. And for those who are watching now and maybe watching later, what strategies mean in this context is very much ways to manage the day. So
Yeah,
ways to
exactly.
manage good days and
Situation. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and ways to manage
Exactly.
not so good days.
Yeah.
We're not talking
Mm,
here about, let's create this humongous strategy about something or other. This is
yeah,
about helping them to just live each day with whatever might be happening that day. And the
exactly.
thing is, when you hide it or you don't tell people, then people don't know. So I was speaking to a parent recently, and they were saying how, the school thought that their son was being really aggressive and
Mm,
disruptive. And and they actually said to the parents, I think maybe, it might be worth speaking to your doctor about getting an assessment. And the parents saw that as like a judgment straight away. What do you mean? No, no, no. And I said, well, why did you think that? And they said, "Oh, well, in our culture, what they think if your child is not normal." And what we were talking about earlier, Parita,
yeah.
what is
Yeah.
normal?
Yeah.
You know, um, there are so many, physical, visual, hidden, until people know, they don't know. So,
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. That is really true as well. It's a lot of the time with neurodivergence, it's hidden.
yeah,
That's what it will. That's the point. Yeah, it's they're not going to. There's not going to be physical symptoms displayed, and I think that does make it challenging because people will then assume that they're just, yeah, either being defiant or just not listening, withdrawn, and yeah, I mean, you're leaving it to people to draw their own conclusions, which is quite tough as well. Um, but I think, yeah, just from our perspective, it was slightly easier to be able to strategize for ourselves and really own our situation before we could go out and explain it.
yeah,
Um, but equally, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what? As a parent, it's a relief to know if there is something, then yeah, let's do this. If there is something, we're going to own it and we're going to manage it.
mm,
We're going to be in control. It won't control us. The
absolutely.
symptoms won't control us, and I think that's what's been the game changer for us.
No, and thank you for sharing that because I think it'll be very important for those who are not only watching now but will watching later, that just hearing that message about, whether it's that close knit group of friends or, your next door neighbor or immediate family, whoever it is
Mm,
that you can open up
mhm.
to.
Yeah,
And then once you know if there is something that needs to be managed, that you then can talk about it, because it's almost like a weight off your shoulders, isn't
yeah,
it? Because otherwise you're keeping it
completely.
all inside and, oh, I don't know what it is. It might be this, it might be that. And that uncertainty in itself can also cause stress,
It does. Well,
anxiety.
we have students, either through our tutoring or mentoring, that are actually in a similar situation. And look, it's a really tough space to be in, but yeah, a diagnosis would help if
Yeah,
there is one. And if there isn't, then great. But it doesn't matter. It's about who you are as an individual. We're going to celebrate that, whatever that looks like, and we'll own it. And that's what we also work with, celebrating you as an individual, drawing out your strengths, and then helping you to progress, irrespective of what there is.
no, brilliant. And thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's going to be such an important message out to everyone. So I just want to talk a little bit about journaling. Do you journal? Does your son journal?
Um, Actually, no.
Okay.
Neither of us do, but I love it. I know that sounds a bit odd.
Okay.
I love
Tell
it.
us tell us more. Tell us more.
I often I like mind mapping, so brain dumping, but that's not too dissimilar to journaling, I don't think.
It's not.
yeah, just I personally like brain dumping. I think it's a really good way of just putting your thoughts out there and just leaving them somewhere in a safe place. And because it's in a book, it's just safe, it's going to be there. And not only that, I can go back to it, I can refer to it, I can reflect on it. There's lots of things I can do. Tried it with my son, he's probably not too keen, but what they do, both my kids actually, often they will write themselves positive notes. So if that's a form of journaling, then
Mhm.
yeah, they do. They definitely do that, and especially sort of similar during exam time, close to exam time, or just when they're not feeling 100% in themselves. And I don't mean physically, but emotionally or mentally. Yeah, these little positive notes really go a long way.
It's so interesting you say that you started off with not really, but then when you started to explain what you do and what your children do, it's journaling, and it's one
Oh,
of the
okay.
things. But it's one of the things that I realized. I mean, when I started my business in 2018, everyone was talking about journaling and gratitude, and I think some people were talking about, the moon and the pink moon and the purple moon and the blue moon, and I was just like, whoa, it's all a bit woo woo for me, not feeling it, and I was like distancing myself from people. And then I did my research, and I'm still not woo woo and all of that. And that is me just being really honest. I'm not. But when I researched more about journaling, there are so many different ways to journal.
Yeah.
It's not only, right, what happened today? Well, I woke up and then I brushed my teeth, and then that's a form of journaling. What you do with your mind mapping or your thought processing, that's still taking out of you
Yeah, that's
onto
true.
paper,
That
so
is
you're
true.
still doing it in that way. For some, journaling is drawing, it's
Yeah.
doodling. It's, they tell their story by their drawings, and it might be angry with a red color, or it might
Mm.
be, I don't know, blue skies, beautiful flowers, yellow when it's peaceful. I'm a vocalizing journal person. I don't do a lot of written and
I
drawing.
I heard you say this actually in one of your previous interviews, and actually I resonate with that a lot because that's my way of journaling as well. It's just communicating
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. And
verbally.
whether it's my husband that has to listen,
Yeah,
or whether it's the two dogs, but somebody always has to listen.
they do.
Um, and I just find that's my way of releasing and feeling okay, whether it's a good
I
day
think
or a not so good day.
yeah, I think it's finding what resonates with you.
Hmm.
And I think if that's what if you deem that journaling, then so be it. And I guess, yeah, you're right. If I'm just mind mapping, that is a form of journaling. You're quite right. Little positive notes. It's a form of expression.
Yeah, and
Um,
some people it might be spreadsheets, and some people, who like spreadsheets, and for some people they might process map it. If this had happened today, that might have
yeah,
happened. And if this
that's
has
so
happened,
true.
everyone is different, right? Absolutely, what we were talking about. We're all
It's funny
different.
it's funny you say that because that's what my husband does. He loves spreadsheets, and obviously I can't. I don't like them. I don't know how to work them. It's like the one if someone put a spreadsheet in front of me, it actually stresses me out. Whereas you're right, that's probably his go-to. So I didn't actually think of it like that. That's
Yeah,
so
and I
true.
think, and again, what I'm learning more and more under my kind of public speaking is one of my strategies of the work that I'm doing. And under public speaking comes different types of communication, different types of confidence factors, different types of body language, voice control, neurotypical, neurodiverse, journaling, all these things. And it was quite interesting because you'll go to the, Wikipedia, or you'll go to the Collins English Dictionary, and there'll be an explanation of what they think it is. But then when you really dig down deep, well, hold on, if I can't write, then what do? I draw. It might be stick men, and it might be different colors, and it might be doodling, and it might be scribbling, because everyone's ability is different. And for somebody who has a neurodivergent mind, their ability to write may not necessarily, they might be dyslexic, there might be other conditions that
Yeah,
affect their ability to write.
yeah.
So I've just found it really fascinating the more I've been researching this, that it is so not linear. It is really not linear, and it is not A, B, C, D, E.
It's the exact opposite of linear.
Yeah,
Um, I yeah, I don't even know how you would be able to actually visualize it, to be honest. It's so diverse.
yeah,
But that's the beauty of it. I love
abs-
it because two people could have exactly the same, um, condition, challenge, whatever, however you want to term it, but they'll be so different.
No, I
So
agree.
different. And their coping mechanisms, the strategies that they might use will be so different.
Absolutely. And
And I
this is
think
why it's so important to just celebrate you, as an
absolutely,
individual,
yeah. In
doesn't
spite
matter
of
how.
what you have, what you're dealing with, everybody, neurotypical, neurodiverse humans, we all have challenges in our life.
I always have a joke in one of the online courses that I do. There's a particular section, module on self-acceptance, and it includes being able to describe, your height, your size, your eyes, your hair, your mouth. And they're like, oh, why am I having to do this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because if you get comfortable with how you look, how you sound, how tall you are, how slim you are, or curvy, or big feet, small feet, whatever it may be,
Mm.
if you get comfortable with it, that it doesn't bother you, then it doesn't matter what anyone else says because their words will not
Absolutely.
affect
I
you.
love
So
that.
the whole
That's so,
self,
so true. And that's just the physical aspect. Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
But it's such a big, today's teenagers, it's such a big part of what is going to make them struggle if they don't get that right
I so
early
agree
on.
with that. I so agree with that. I mean, we now at home will joke about our son's APD because we can. He is that comfortable in his own skin. He knows it. He uses it against us sometimes. "Oh, I can't do that because I've got APD," and we'll have a joke about it. Um, of course, it's very real, and the stresses are still there, and the daily challenges are still there. But you know what? It's not something that's going to hold him back. And it's not something that will hold anybody back, given the right strategies and the right management tools.
Absolutely.
And it's,
I know people always laugh because when I say I'm 4'9", they're like, "No way, you look really bigger." And I was like, "Yeah, that's
I
what the
think,
camera
I'm pretty
does."
sure it's the first thing I said to you when I saw you.
Everyone gets really, but it's my persona, it's my personality, it's who I am, it's what I do. But
Yeah,
I want to talk to you about my launch. Are you excited about the launch of my journals as
I
much as
can't,
I am?
I'm super excited.
But
It's
why?
needed.
But
It's
why?
needed because it's needed. It's what we've just said. It's not journaling through, it's not a diary entry. It's not reams and reams of writing, which is so scary for some people. It's a tool for you to be you, and
Mm.
express how you want to express. And I think that is so important. It's yeah, it's needed. It's just something that's going to be so needed for people to be able to, because when you look at journaling, it can be quite overwhelming. Like you said, the kind of initial perception of journaling is just writing quite a lot, or like it's like a diary entry, and it's just not that. Being able to express freely and communicate, maybe not to others, but even to yourself in a way that works for you, it's so special.
No, I agree. And I know when I first started talking to people about this project that I wanted to do, and it's been on my vision board for a while now, and then the pandemic, and then me getting ill, and all those things just came in the way. But we're here now, and I was asked, "Why are you doing this? You don't have a child that's got a neurodiverse condition. Do you have one?" And I was like, well, why does it have to be that I'd have a child with a neurodiverse condition or that I have one for me to want to do this? Part of who I am and what I want to do is part of my journey is to help as many people as possible, both adults and children,
Yeah.
find ways to communicate.
Mm.
And spoken, written, drawing, doodling, whatever that may be. Um, this is just another tool.
Um, I couldn't agree more. I don't think it has anything. I mean, I'm not sure what the relationship would be. I get it if you've got a child or it's personally relevant. I understand, but it doesn't need to be. I think it's amazing that you are reaching out to people, even though you might not have a personal understanding of it. You may not, but I don't think that matters. I think it's irrelevant.
Yeah, and I'm really what I'm really excited about is since the launch yesterday is we've had some great comments, feedback, people telling me that they've already put their orders in, and they can't wait to physically get the copy and
Yeah,
give it to their child or use it themselves. And I'm really excited to get the feedback, of course, because this is something new in my journey that I have actually launched. So, but I have to honestly say as well that in my journey, you've always been supportive and you've always been, there in the nope, that is needed. That is what, will help a
it's
child or will help a
100%
parent.
needed. It's 100%. I mean, the one of the things that we talk about, it's nothing to do with academics, but we talk about organizational skills, and we start this right from the day that they start with us. I have certain expectations, and they're not difficult. It's really simple things that we can build into our everyday life. That or good organizational skills to build independent learners, good communication skills, all of those things. Yeah, we start building in very discreetly from a very young age. So, of course, I'm going to support what you do. It's amazing. We need it. We need it.
Thank you so much. And we now move to the quick fire session. So I am looking forward to this and hearing what your answers are. So, what is your favorite animal and why?
Oh, hands down, it's a monkey. And I
And
know there's
why?
lots of monkeys out there. My dream in life, my kids will tell you, my one goal in life is to hug a chimpanzee.
Okay.
That's just what I want to do. I love monkeys. Yeah, oh, that would be my dream above
Is,
anything else.
is it that they're cute, or is it their
Oh, they're
intelligence,
cute.
or is it that
I
they'll
don't.
finish your food?
No,
Um,
not that bit. I don't know about that bit, but no, they're beautiful. Oh my God. Like, just look at them. They're
uh,
so cute.
Yeah, no. I remember, I think we were in India. We were in India somewhere. We'd gone on a trip and a monkey came
Yep.
and took a packet of crisps
Yeah.
and stuff. And I remember one of my friends when I was younger had a little marmoset that's like a little monkey that
Yeah.
size and used to
Yeah.
travel on her shoulders. So, okay, that's a good one. And I think you will really like this question. If you could do one thing and only one, I'm sure your list is humongous, but if you could do one thing to change the world, to be a better place, what would it be?
Oh, I think we touched on that. I think we've already touched on that, to be honest. It's ex- helping people to accept um, and own their own situations.
Yeah, and I think that's a fantastic one. I did think you might bring that back in again. I think it's so important that
Having just having the strength and being brave enough to be able to do that. I think
and
that's what it would be for me.
yeah, and to sit in their own skin and be proud of who they are, right?
Yeah,
I am
absolutely.
Sonal and I don't want to be Parita, and Parita doesn't want to be Sonal because Parita is fine with who she is and and everything about her. And I think we need to kind of get people, less of this comparison stuff. Oh, look at your cousins over there and look at Auntie Joyce over there and all that kind of stuff. Need to remove it. And here is my favorite one. Who is your favorite superhero and why?
Oh, that's a hard one. Um, who's my favorite superhero? Oh, you're putting me in the spot, Sonal. I don't know. You know what it is for me? It's not necessarily a superhero. It'll be the strengths that they possess. Honestly, that's what I'm about. Um, it could be anyone. I've always liked Superman when I was little.
Okay, we'll go for Superman. And is it because of the cape,
I don't know. I
or
don't
is
know.
it because he can
It's the
fly?
fact that it's everything. It's the fact that he's literally super. He can do all of these things that we can't as not like everyday humans. Probably something, you probably subconsciously aspire to. You just want to be super, right? You want to be the best version of yourself, and he's just super. I mean, you're never going to achieve that, but
You never know.
how
You
cool
never
to be able to
know.
fly.
You never know. With the way society's moving at
Yeah,
the moment, who knows
true,
what will happen?
true.
But
We only use about 10% of our brain, so
do you know what? The more and more I've been reading that, I was like, wow, really? Oh, okay. And then how there's the two sides to the brain, type ones and type two. I mean, the research I've been doing for this project it's been immense. It's brought up about a lot of awareness for me. It's educated me even more. but I think importantly for me as well, it's helped me to have a better understanding. So I have friends and family who have children with neurodivergent conditions, but I think when you actually really dig deep and delve and to understand it more, wow, there is so much for us to learn. And if I ever thought the Rubik's Cube was hard, uh, this to learn it all is not easy. And I actually
I'm not sure it'd be
salute.
possible.
Well, I actually salute those who, teach, who work in schools, who are parents, carers, because I just think what they do is just so immense. It's so powerful. It's so comforting that they have taken on that role and taken on that duty to do it. And that's kind of how I feel. The more I'm just reading about it and becoming aware, I really kind of genuinely feel that. And I just want to hug them all and just say, I'm here to help
Yeah,
when I can.
there's a reason why you are the way you are. I am quite spiritual, but now, and I do think you are. There's a reason for it. It's because you've been deemed strong enough to have whatever you have,
Yeah.
and it's a gift.
And
We don't
and
always
I
see it that way because of social conditioning,
Yes, no. And
but
I
it
think
all
there's the gift part and there's the blessing part and actually the strength as well. I think you're right, exactly right there, Brita, that there's the strength, the gift, the blessing is all part of that package that just makes the individual, the journey so special.
I think so. I think it makes you who you are, whoever you are, and whatever you might have or might not have.
And I think the more and more we talk about this and other subjects that I will talk about, later in later months and years, I think it's so important that we bring these topics to the forefront and we get people
Agreed.
talking about them and hearing from people like yourself who, teach, support, live it with your own life experience, that people will realize that this is not something so strange and out there. This is life. This is what
It's
your
every
next door
day.
neighbor, your family members will go
Mm,
through.
mm. And it's not. I don't think it's a stigma. It is something to just celebrate, and not even celebrate. It's something just to accept.
Yeah. Be more
It's
aware of,
That's
understanding,
the
and accept.
normal. I think
Yeah.
to me, that's the normal, celebrating differences. And when
Oh,
when we talk about well-being and we talk about every year, mental awareness health week and things like that, often we talk about differences, but this is the real, the here and the now. We're
mm,
all different. And
yeah.
that acceptance, yeah, just should be there.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that's a brilliant point to end. That acceptance and difference should be just celebrated, that we're all special. We all have our differences, we all have our uniqueness, and we all have that place and journey for us to succeed and get to with the right support
Mm,
guidance around
mm.
us. Parita Patel from Leap Educate, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I'm going to retire you to the waiting room. I'm going to sign off and then I will bring you back and we'll have a chat. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Sonal. It's great chatting to you as always.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey everyone, so that was Parita Patel from Leap Educate. And honestly, I've been wanting to interview her for quite a few years now, but it's just never had the right time, place, or space. So thank you so much for spending the time as well. Just a little reminder, we have launched with the Neurodivergent Mind Journal, which is for adults, and the Write It, Read It, Let It Go journal for children. These are journals that have been created with a focus group of both adults who have a neurodivergent mind or adults who are caring for a child or an adult with a neurodivergent mind. And for those of you who have bought or ordered your copies already, don't forget there is a competition. Go to any of my socials and you'll see the post there, where as long as you fill in the form, take a little photo, a little scan of the receipt, send that through, and there is a little competition to win one of my online courses free of charge, of course, and I cannot wait to share with you all who that is going to be. Any questions, as always, you just need to ask and be in touch. Thank you again. There is another interview later this evening, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And I'm sure if Parita sees any questions in any of the comments, she will make sure that she answers them as well. Thank you to you all who've been watching. And for anyone who's watching later, please don't forget to do #replay. Bye for now.